Hello, warriors. How are you? We're on our next chapter in a journey through the book of Revelation. I want to thank you for being here. My love to you all. We have to really break down this chapter. There are a lot of symbology in here. I'm going to give you what I've learned and what some say, but I'm also curious about what you guys think. And I pray that this time is making you want to get into the word and figure it out yourself and go look up words. And the Word of God is actually exciting. It's really exciting. Anyway, so we are seeing a lot of the things happening in today's time. It doesn't mean Jesus is coming tomorrow. It can mean that. It doesn't mean he might wait 50 years. It can mean that. We don't know. Only the Father knows when he is saying go. And when he says go, the first thing that'll happen is a snatching away of the body of Christ, which we learned. We learned about all the different, let me go through that with you. All the different things in each chapter. Um, in chapter 1, we had intro for John with Jesus, the glorified Jesus, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, not just the slain lamb. Then we had Jesus giving the churches letters, and in this chapter, he talked to Ephesus, Smyrna, at Pergamum, and Thyatira. Sometimes I mess up the names. Chapter 3 was Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. There he said, be hot or cold, I'm going to puke you out of my mouth. So this is a season to dedicate your life to Christ, not play church. Chapter 4, heaven seen, elders, beasts at the throne. But the beasts are angels, but they don't look like the angels we see. I have seen angels, they look like people. I've seen Archangel Michael, and he's huge. But these guys have eyes all over them and things like that. Anyway, chapter 5, we see the scroll, which in the olden days they would roll the scrolls and then seal them with candle wax. And anyway, we see chapter 6, they open seals 1 through 6. Then there's a pause. Chapter 7, God reaches back out to his people, his nation, Israel, and 12,000 of the 144 come to know him as the Messiah, and they give their life to Christ. They are not taken in the rapture. They have to go through this tribulation period. Then we see in chapter 8, at the end of chapter 7, the seventh seal is open, and then we see in chapter 8, each one of those seven seals has a trumpet. And then chapter 9, we see the pit description. Chapter 10, a little book, which John ate, and it was sweet in his mouth, but bitter in his stomach, and they explain that. Chapter 11, the witness. Chapter 12, the woman. Chapter 13, the beast. Chapter 14, the lamb. Chapter 15, the bowls or vials of God's wrath, and the sea of glass with the massive people on it. Chapter 16 is the release of the wrath of God, of the bowls of God. Chapter 17, we are doing now. This is where the bowls have been poured out, and we're going to hear about Mystery Babylon and Armageddon, the prep for Armageddon and how that happens. So we are moving through pretty well, and I pray that you are enjoying this and that you're learning something or inspired to go find out to learn, for yourself. So let's begin. I don't want to keep this too long. And there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials. And he talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the great judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a cup in her hand full of the abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. That word admiration doesn't mean he admired what she was doing. It was like shock, like, great, oh my God, look at how she did this. Like, wow, you know. And the angel said unto me, wherefore do thou marvel? And I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carried her, which hath 7 horns, 7 heads and 10 horns. Sorry about that. And the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder whose names were not written in the Lamb's book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not, and it yet is. Okay, so that's verse 8. I'm going to stop there for a minute because there's so much to break down in that. And I just want to jump in and start describing things, but I don't want to do it to get ahead of myself to cause confusion. So let's start with this. This is the great harlot and Babylon. Okay. So Babylon was an actual city in the ancient past. Okay. But here in Revelation, we're hearing it spoken of. And it is a type of mankind's filth, rebellion, and purposeful defiance against God, exhorting himself, lifting himself up. So in that day, there was a flood, and a man named Noah built a boat, and only his family survived. And Noah had a son named Cush, and Cush had a son named Nimrod, and Nimrod was rebellious against God. And Nimrod said in his heart, I'm not dealing with this God. We're going to be our own God. Let's build a tower and show that we can be God. And he said, anything we put our mind to, we can do it. We're gods in our own mind. And he, of course, this was the Tower of Babel, and all the earth was given multiple languages so they could not unify against God that way. This is what the enemy is doing today against the church. He's got us all doing different religions. He's got us all having different ways of, thinking. And this keeps us from unifying to bring the will of God into the earth. He's a copycat. Nothing that the enemy does is original. He has no thought of his own. So let's see. So some say now that the Babylon is the beast system throughout the world. I tend to believe that it is the beast system. Some say it's America. I don't believe it's America. I believe it's the beast system, the Luciferian system in America and throughout the world. Some say it will be Jerusalem, that the Antichrist will set up his reign in Jerusalem, and that will become the new Babylon. Some say it's the Vatican, where this false religion, God uses them to destroy the false religions. We'll get into that. But some believe it is the new religion, where we're in the last half of the 3.5 years of the Great Tribulation, right? So the Antichrist is going to want to be worshipped. So he's going to establish all of these, destroy all of the Christian religions or the anything that doesn't worship him. And they're going to establish a religion of worshiping him. So some believe that will come out of the Vatican. Yeah, it's a good thought, So let's explore more and see. So let's see. So I told you about that, the Antichrist rebuilding. His intense hatred for God and the will of God is similar and even more intense than Nimrod's. So you can imagine the kingdom he's going to want to set up. So now we read here about one of the 7 angels coming to give John some information, right? And he's talking about showing him the judgment of the great whore that sits upon the many waters, all right? She's not literally sitting on water, all right? And he talks about the kings of the earth having committed a fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth having been drunk on the wine of her fornication. Fornication is a literal thing and a spiritual thing. There is so much fornication in the church right now, and I have been in churches that teach that there's no such thing as fornication. They don't use the word fornication. They'll say there's no such sin as having sex outside of marriage. God is a God of commitment. If you are becoming one spirit, one soul, one body with somebody, your whole being goes with another being. That is a spiritual connection. So if there's no commitment to that connection, you're not committed. It's just the lustful thing. It's the flesh leading. That is an abomination to God. God is a God of agreement, a commitment, devotion. So fornication is a sin. It is a sin. And it is the sin of sex before marriage, sex before commitment. But it's not just someone who walks up to you and says, "You're married now, go have sex." I've seen it. I've seen that happen in churches. And what happens? They go and they have sex and they turn around and what do? They turn around and they break up after a baby's born or whatever, or the guy's on to the next best looking thing. There's no real true commitment. Okay. So anyway, so fornication is people are drunk on her fornication. So they're drunk on her lack of commitment. They're drunk on the sexual perversion. They're drunk on committing fornication, spiritually against God, cheating on God, and physically in the earth, just disgusting filth. This is what it said above, filth, right? And we read that in verse, let me see, great wonder the bottomless pit. I just read it to you. Anyway, we'll find it later. So he talks about what she does. Then this is God's judgment against the beast, the Antichrist, sitting upon the many waters, the seas of people, the waters. Remember that even in heaven, he said, "I saw great waters," and standing on it was the people. So it really has to do with um, the sea of people and those kings, the nations and the inhabitants. Those are the people drunk with intoxication of perversion. This is her global influence. This is not just America or some small place. This is her global influence. There it is, verse 4. I told you I'd find it, where it says, "And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet." Remember the scarlet letter, where the woman back in my day had to wear, she committed adultery, and she had to wear the scarlet letter on her chest to show that she was a harlot. But it says in verse 4, she was decked like this. She had gold and precious stones and pearls. That has to do with kingdoms. And having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations, filthiness, and fornication. Okay, so back where we were. Sorry, it popped up for me. All right, so this is her global influence, committing fornication, refers to sexual sin, perversion, immorality, um, um, and then anything that is a sin against God, like this heart, like Nimrod had to say, I don't need to listen to God. You know how many times I've heard people say, "I know Jesus. I know